Okay.
The key there with freestyle, it's called free associative speaking, is this is what really takes your networking to the next level. Because a lot of people get stuck in like, what do I say? And then they freak out. Okay. Especially if someone's higher value, right? We hear this like buzz
Oh,
term all the
that's
time.
nice.
Yeah, the
Kind of
status
like,
quo. Yeah. If you're like a little nervous around someone, I see guys do this with girls all the time, right? They're just like, oh, they put on a pedestal and then like now they don't know what to say. Well, if you can't figure that out, like how are you gonna figure out like taking, I say taking, give your money,
no,
taking money from like a high value
no,
individual,
yeah,
like a
it's
high
like you're
net worth
making a
person.
deal.
Yeah,
You're negotiating, basically. You're selling yourself to this person. People don't want to say it like that,
right.
but you're selling each other to each other. Like, so that's what
Yeah,
it is.
totally. And if the other person like has a couple $1 million and you're trying to borrow their money, you can't necessarily be nervous. Like you have to be able to just like
You got to hold your
be
own.
slick. Yeah, hold your own, be able to freely talk, right? Because people can tell that you're a little bit uneasy, and then now
Yeah,
they might not necessarily lend you that money.
they don't trust you.
Yeah. Versus if it's just like not a big deal. Hey, I do this all the time. I know what this is. I know the steps. Maybe you have never even raised capital or closed a deal just yet. If you know the steps moving forward, or you can, talk to someone about moving forward, you just have to be 2 or 3 steps ahead. Right? It's like, cool. I'm closing on this deal. What does that mean? I fill out the offer to purchase. After that, that gets sent to lawyer and mortgage broker. Your realtor will have the copy. You get a copy. What's after that? Okay, you get your financing in line. You have a debt payment. You're going to get ready to close. Maybe there's a tenant in there. You got to do due diligence. You don't need to know the whole process, but you need to know a few steps ahead so that you can actually move forward. But what does that look like with framing and transparency? Yeah, so framing is we show you what you want to show you. Trying to build a brand on transparency basically means that it's kind of the paradox. Okay, what are we actually doing? And this is why how I figure the paradox with the help of Gary Vee is document the process, right? Just document the step by steps that are either helping you through a hard time or that are even something new that I found is hindering you when things are actually easy. Like people like that. Like they like to see what are the obstacles, even when things are going well, that you still deal with. That's what I found with my avatar anyway. And you see with like the quick tips videos of like, hey, how to avoid, there's like 2 types of like clickbait titles is how to avoid pain or how to reach towards pleasure or like
That's
status
the
or
Jordan Peterson, um, because the rat, you know what I'm talking about, the rat experiment, right?
right, yeah,
So it works best when the rat or the mouse is searching for the cheese, but there has to be fear, so the cat behind it. So
yeah.
that's the best scenario, but you have to balance out the
Yeah, you have
cheese
to
and the
balance the
cat.
two. Yeah. And it's showing people the two, right? Because you can't just be like, oh, it's going to be amazing, sell dream, sell dream, sell dream, sell dream. Because then people are gonna be like, oh, it's just a big bullshit marketer, right? But you still have to market. You just can't be a bullshit marketer.
Yeah.
One people can tell nowadays, everything's kind of online, right? People can search up what you're doing, right? Like you guys see me do a call to action all the time. I hope you realize that the call to action there is to help you, right? I can't help you if you're not willing to help yourself, right? So hit the call to action. In here, it could be get onto the Zoom call. There's a link in my bio. Do that. But the other part is essentially how do you not just sell the dream, but get people away from pain? And I think away from pain helps people more
Yeah.
in that they'll actually take action on, right?
Because everybody, like, if you look at somebody and they're like, like you could tell that they're in pain, right? And if you could relieve them of that pain, that's value. What does value translated to? Money.
Mhm.
So that's, I don't know. That's the way I see it, and maybe a crude version of what you do, like, but that's how I see it.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. 'Cause people almost, what is it? They fear the fear of loss is greater than the expectation of gain. I
Yes.
think they have this
Yeah.
with people winning like lottery or stuff. It's like, oh, if they win something, it's like, cool, yeah, I won something. But when they lose something, it's like, oh,
yeah,
heart wrenching sometimes to lose something.
they lose it in like 2 years or something or
Yeah,
whatever because they don't know how to handle the money and it'll reveal who you actually are. What kind of man are you? Are you gonna just like give all this money away? You're gonna spend it. You only know how to spend, or do you know how to like give it away or like multiply it,
right. Grow it.
grow it?
Right. Yeah, it's harder than it seems. Right.
Oh,
Especially not that the skill side is harder, but it's the mindset I find is harder because you have to operate differently. Right.
you gotta have that armor plate skin and mind.
You almost have to level up, right? That's why I look at life as a video game, where it's like you get different mindsets as you upgrade forward, right? Where it's like, even with that framework we were kind of talking about earlier, let's say you haven't started from 9 to 5, or you're still in school, right? Like it really just starts at school. You guys remember being like 16, being like, oh god, like, I gotta get a job now, like getting
Hey,
close to being an adult. You're like, what the hell do I
I'm
do?
triggered. Don't say shit
Yeah,
like that.
you're like waiting at the bus stop, going to your job. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. It's all new, right? It's like your third
Right
shift.
though, you know why? Because it's the pursuit of happiness. You're trying to figure out as you go along, and then you reminisce when you're older. You're like, oh shit, I loved it
I
when
was on that journey.
maybe I should go back to that. And then you go back there, you're like, what the fuck? That was fucking stupid. Let's
I'm on
go
my
forward again.
45-minute bus ride journey to go work at Lint to sell chocolate for $10, 25 cents an hour, minus taxes. And then now you got to learn financial literacy. You're like, what the fuck? And you're like, I remember the first year I worked, I looked at my tax return and I'm like, oh, cool. I made like 17 grand or some shit. And then I look back, I'm like, where is that money? You go look at your statements. And I spent it at my job working at McDonald's. I bought food at McDonald's. So I worked at McDonald's to buy food from them. And then I took my extra money and went to Cineplex and watched movies with friends. That was basically all of my money went to.
Was it worth it though?
I don't know, maybe it led to the lesson, but like if I was still living like that, definitely not
No.
much place.
No.
Yeah, it's good for that level, I guess. Good self awareness. You're like 16, figuring it out. And then next level of that is like, okay, well, now you're looking at value of time in exchange of money, right? Before you're just like, oh, cool, I show up and get money. It's like 3 hours. You guys remember working 3, 4 hour shifts? I
Yeah.
love working 3 hour shifts.
I marinated
Go,
chicken.
I go home early. It's like full day.
6 to 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Go with my friends after, go with my friends beforehand. But then after you realize, okay, well, my time has value now. So okay, if I'm busing 45 minutes down Keniston and then 45 minutes back home, it's like an hour and a half, 3 hours of working is like $30 minus tax. What is that? It's like $27. And then you add on your commute there. It's like, oh right, you got to eat food, so you probably bought Wendy's. I would buy Wendy's because it's just right next to it, or sushi. So that's like minus 13.50. So what are you left with? Like $12. So I spent an hour and a half going there, 30 minutes. There's probably like what I call buffer time. That's like, you're getting ready to go to work, which is like 30 minutes, 15 minutes. So was that 5 hours? It's like, cool, 5 hours and I net 12.50.
I paint too. I find like I'm learning to kind of calculate that buffer time,
Yeah,
especially because I'll think in my head, I'm always thinking in my head, like, okay, so if I'm working 12 hours today, where does the other 12 hours go? Okay, this 8 hours for sleep and other things like that. But then I think in my head, okay,
you're
there's
left with
another
four.
hour and a half, like hour and a half getting ready in the morning, and then I get home and then and then I work relax for like 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah,
get my mind going, and then it's like where all the time go and how much of this money actually how much am I actually making with it? But back to the whole looking back at your old problems, that's one thing I've kind of learned too, especially now after my first year out of high school. It's kind of
yeah,
like, okay, grade nine, what problems did I have?
right. Yeah,
And then grade 10, it's like, oh, I look back at my problems in grade nine, I'm like, oh, those are childish problems.
yeah,
Okay, now I've got real things going on. And then, yeah, then it'd be like you said, working a 3 or 4 hour shift at McDonald's because I worked at McDonald's too. And it was like, okay, great. I get to go home early now and I get to go to my friend's place and we get to hang out. But now it's kind of like, well, what are we doing now when we're hanging out? Or, what's
yeah,
the end goal of that? And that's one thing that I've kind of started like realizing now. Um, I try not to hold other people
accountable to the same standards that I'm trying to hold
That's
myself
that
to.
that's
I
that
think
virtue and what is it, Patrick? Virtue and
Vicious
vice?
cycles? Yeah,
because
virtuous and vicious cycles.
I find like I don't have anything against anybody else that is satisfied with what they're doing at the moment, but I think the one thing that I've really started to learn about myself is one of the reasons that I want to do this is just because what else is there to do? I don't really want to just go to school, get a normal job, because then I know from the people that I've been around in life, all the different struggles or, the mental states that other people might be in just through the life that we live in. And more I'm kind of just realizing like this is it's a world we're in and it's a free world, but it is a trap in itself that we live in.
Hey, do you want to get my free ebook, How to Never Be Broke Again? I've given this out completely for free. So DM me the word ebook, one word ebook, and I will send you that for free. You guys are awesome, and thanks so much for the continued support.
Set by other people who obviously have more power. So I think that one thing that I'm trying to gain right now for the short term is just what kind of power or, sure, monetary power, but what kind of mental power over my own actions can I kind of build and what kind of person can I become in the next year? Because I know my problems last year weren't that insane. So what are my problems next year going to be? What are they going to be the year after that? What am I going to look back on? What are my goals going to be? And yeah, I think that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The upgrading of your problems
Yeah.
is a big one. And once you kind of start to enjoy that a little bit, or like even see it, right? Because people say, oh, exit the matrix. Like, what the hell does that even mean, right? I think one matrix, I think there's multiple, but one is definitely that exchange of time and money. It's like once you can separate that, it's like, okay, well, what's more important? Is it the money or is it the time? But if you flip it and put on the time, you'll almost start to value yourself more, and then you'll find those money opportunities that are better than what you had before. It's because you're looking at it different. It's no longer like, oh, I just want to get paid. It's like, no, I want my time back. Once you hit that, then it's ask yourself, okay, how do I want to spend that time? Okay. For you, it could be like becoming the next version of yourself, is what I'm kind of hearing.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, you understand that with time, there's going to be problems in the future. But if you keep going forward, those problems don't look as crazy anymore. Plus, you also conquer them, or you get a lesson, either or, right? It's like win, lose, you make it binary, but I don't really look at it as losing. It's like lesson learning.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Because then even when I was like talking to people today, like I'm not like an introvert as fuck, but I'm like, well, why am I doing this? Well, I gotta get this done within the next 2, 3 years. My parents are gonna fucking die. Time
Right.
is more important than money. My family's here from the Philippines and all that shit. And I'm like, I only have a limited amount of time, or like 2, 3 years, maybe at most, maybe 5 years if I'm lucky. And then my parents are gone. You know, what's gonna happen? Everybody's gonna struggle without vision. People will perish.
Mm.
That's a Bible thing. You could take it for what it is. I don't care if you're whatever religion, but that's the point. So like when people think like, oh, you have to study. I don't want to study. Bitch, like what? Are we in a war right now? Are we in Ukraine or Russia? Like, come on, go study so you can go out there, help people. You care about people, you care about your network, you just care about your phone, illusions on your fucking phone.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit, man.
Phone's a big
Somebody's
time
one of
trap.
your friends is gonna die, and then you're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I guess Dark A, we're talking about like our parents dying and shit. I think about that often too, though.
Washer.
Yeah, we're just well, like that. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, if you got parents that are still alive, they might pass away. That shit's real. That's an immediate motivation. Maybe you don't like your parents, then maybe not. But I think most people kind of at least get to a point where they're like, oh, I'm grateful for my parents. That was one of my big motivations for sure. Helping them out. Cool. So we might take a little bit of a break here. We'll put on some. Maybe we'll do some Q&A. I got some questions in the chat here. I'll answer those. And essentially, we got till 5 p.m. for the free tour. If you guys are interested in making it here, I'm still going to be on Instagram, but Address is 1038 Sherburne. We're going to do a free tour until 5. Probably take a little break around 5:30. It's no longer going to be on Zoom or Instagram because then it's just going to be a private event. And this is where we're going to go very structured in exactly how, like I said earlier, you want to build the business around your life, not your life to just become the business. What that means when it comes to networking and actually applying this and having that high level communication skills is we're actually going to be going out later. This is going to be after 10 p.m. Maybe we'll, yeah, it's after 10 p.m. So from 5:30 until then, we're going to be going and breaking down exactly how we incorporate your social skills, being able to go out and not just do that and just get drunk, because that's kind of what ends up happening in Winnipeg. You don't want to do that. I don't think you want to do that. But instead, you turn it into an activity that brings you leads, that helps you get on that purpose of why you're actually doing this, kind of building a community and starting with that. So you don't know people, people don't trust you, people don't know you, people don't like you, meaning if you have a hard time making friends, good luck in business, right? This is a big trap I see a lot of people make, and like they have all these business ideas, but it's like, hey, you got a buddy that's going to pay for you for that idea, right? You just need one buddy. A lot of people don't even have that, right? I'm not saying you guys don't have friends, but like a buddy, a friend that's actually gonna be like, hey, I'll pay you for that. We've done some wholesales together, right? At least one.
Two.
Two?
One,
Yeah.
yeah.
One or two, yeah.
Right.
You just hang out with the right people, like you'll make money on accident. You always joke with Ivan, just hang out around like Jerome or Denzel long enough. You still just like have like, hey, we go to wholesale, you want to do it together? You're like, okay, sure. You just tag around, and you're like, okay, we're here. Take a photo of the place. Everyone come through. That's what you're just texting. That's how we wholesale their first house. You're just like, everyone invite. And then it goes that story where you think you're not offering value, but just you texting people, bringing them into the event, bringing into the place actually offers a ton of value. Okay, I gotta send some money later. Cool. Take a little bit of a break. Welcome back. First, let's answer some questions. For the ones here live, walk through those stairs. First door on your right. Is all water in it? It's good.
I'll have some more
Probably water, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's water's there. You guys help yourselves. Yeah. So we got your other question there. Hey man, Martin asks, curious on your thoughts on this. Showing AC unit for watching 7 K for 12-year warranty to own the unit. Rent rate indefinitely for 110 bucks a month. Expensive. 7K off. You don't your unit for that. That's expensive. I'm not laughing at you, Martin. I'm just like I'm surprised with that.
Put it on a show here, like
It's all good.
Upfront.
Not a pretty.
You know, would you pay $7,000 for a new AC unit?
Who?
You?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, like half that. Yeah.
3,100 probably.
I got a new AC for 3,400.
There you go.
Everything
Yeah.
in. So that's
Supply
like
and install
cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Martin, you need a better price, bro. Like 7K
That's too much.
for a 12-year warranty on your own unit. That's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old lady bear. I like to see Chris Walks in the frame. Chris Walks isn't here.
Who do you think I'm Chris Watts?
I don't know. Trevor
Shout out to
says, I have finally got my mindset over failure of my own, but I'm still holding fear of failing someone else. How do you get over the fear of losing someone else's money? Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
How do you get over the fear of losing someone else's money? You got to bet on yourself in the worst case scenario where you lose that money.
Yeah.
Meaning their money is more important than your money.
Yeah.
Because on average, like most people just save money for their deals, right? Like if you meet your regular real estate investor, doesn't know creative finance, never took coaching, maybe didn't even go that deep into like researching online and stuff, they're saving money for a year, 5, maybe even as long as 10 years and putting that down payment into that deal, right? So if you're borrowing money, you got to treat it with more respect than your own money. Because if you screw it up, you got to make sure your money partners get paid first. So the fear of losing someone else's money, I think it's just related to the fear of losing in general, right? Because what are you going to do when you lose? It'd be nice, and it actually is better marketing for me to say, you're never going to lose if you take our playground.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn the process of how you lose and extract the lesson.
Yes.
We're gonna make sure that we avoid all the pitfalls. We give you systems for marketing, systems for improving your ROI, high leverage activities that are gonna help you network properly so you meet money partners that are actually gonna be okay with you possibly losing money. Like you should be able to explain that there's a risk with all this, right? It's not easy. This is exactly why people get systems and accountability and implementation from people that have done this, because you do have to respect the money partner's money first. I always tell my students this, and it's always kind of like a running joke in our company, is that money partners and investors get paid first. Us, as the active real estate investors, we get paid last, right? And like, what happens if tenants don't pay? Well, we got to deal with that. I'll deal with that this morning. And again, it's going to be way easier to just sell. Hey, you're never going to have to deal with tenants. Like, no, man, you get into real estate. Like,
Put out that fire.
yeah, exactly. Fill the fire, deal with it, and then let's get on to the next one. But yeah, the fear of losing blank, fear of losing someone else's money, fear of losing someone, like maybe you put someone on a pedestal, fear of losing that deal, fear of losing that business partner, that income stream, that job. It's all linked to just fear of losing, right? So instead of focusing on fear of losing, it does help to just focus on, okay, how do you mitigate losses and how do you focus on winning? And then build yourself enough of even emergency fund. Like let's say this is something I'd help out with some of the newer students. They're a little wary about borrowing money at first. So what they'll do is I'll coach them on, hey, use a money partner for a little bit, 10, 20 grand, just so you taste it, right? So you get the real life experience. Again, you can put training wheels on. The other half, maybe you have a 40% down or 40K down payment, 20,000 of your own money, 20,000 of the money partner's money. Now you get to deal with how it's like having a money partner, making sure they get paid. And hey, if you make more, you can extract everyone's money out. Awesome. If not, you didn't put in too much risk and you still put up your own money.
I have something there too to add. Based on experience, maybe it would help you all. Like for me, what I did is like I kind of did them like get the interest at 10% for my money partners to start, to get the head start, right? And then after a while, once I get the money from the burst, money from the refinance that I get, because I all got my own money now, could pay them out all the extra money. It's gonna be self-sustaining now. I'm gonna put it back on another deal. And then now you're gonna have a bigger, bucket of money. Then now you could fill that in, and then now you could pay off your investors, and then now all of a sudden you got this X amount of money that you could self-sustain if you don't want to do the money partner way, right? So
Can you explain the the refinance thing? Because like that's the thing I get stuck on is that like okay, find an investor and then like yeah, how does that work? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Let's see. Just make sure I know where we're stopping. Cool. Hey, Bird refinance. It's a nice little word. I'm gonna change shirts because it's funny and it makes for like more content later. Let's
Yes.
chop it up. People will think it's a different day.
Yeah.
So this is an example of framing that we do, right?
nice.
It's an illusion. Like you get a mix of illusion and like practicality, illusion and like real
It's kind of
challenge.
fancy because I told them, right?
Well, everybody came in, sat here. Why come we can't sit here?
Everyone gets it. You guys
Even-
there. Yeah, everyone wants to sit in the back. If you do, I learned if you're doing like full on events in like a university hall or something, before you start, you get everyone to come to the front, fill it in front, because everyone's scared. Everyone's like, "Oh, what is it in front?" But here it's
It's
like,
got balls.
what's the difference?
So if you're an aspiring real estate investor, or if you're a real estate investor looking to scale past that 6th, 7th, even 10th home, I'd love to help you out. So DM me the word coach. I'll send you more details. And if you are a good fit, I'd love to invite you to do a free real estate strategy session. Love to help you reach those goals. Speed of implementation is key. So DM the word coach and let's get talking and let's get to business.
There's only like so many of us here, so it's all good. Okay, so Burr, how to get your refinance. This took me like 5 years to figure out, and I don't know if I was just like not figuring out the math. Brrr. Let me focus on the R. Sorry, if I do this R, refinance. So buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and then repeat. So focus on this R, the refi. Your refi before, when you started, was it 75% LTV or was it already 20?
It's already 20.
It's already 20, yeah.
20%.
So there was a time here in Winnipeg where you could get financing. You had to do 25% down.
Yeah.
Meaning it was a 75% loan to value, meaning you get a mortgage on 75% of what the new value of the house is. Right? With that, now it's actually 80% LTV, so you need a lower down payment, which actually made things a little bit easier, right? Because even if it's just 5%, finding an extra 5% can be daunting, especially if you don't know how to like raise capital.
Sure.
Right. So having 20% down makes it that much easier. But anyway, I'll give you an example. So I bought a house for 120K. I put in 20K into it. So now it's 140 grand that I've spent in. We'll include holding costs there just so I can simplify it. I just want to make sure this is going to be reversed, so that's okay. And then that is going to be correct. Cool. I just wanted to be correct on one of the recordings. This isn't going to go on YouTube anyways. That stuff. Anyway, so 140 grand all in. And then when we got it appraised, it was appraised at 233 grand. So my after repair value was 233 grand. That means it's the new value of that house. Now I get a 80% LTV on this. So what's 80% of
33.
Which is, I think my 10% is 23 times
186.
186.
186. 400.
Cool. So that means this gets deposited into my account, right? And it's a loan, meaning it's untaxed. So it's part of my new mortgage. This 80% is a new mortgage. Okay, this is my new mortgage. Now, before I already had a mortgage off this. Right? I used to break it down where it's like, hey, what's your mortgage and your down payment and all that, but I found that it does confuse people, just makes it harder. So you just want to think about, okay, how much did I actually spend? I spent 120 grand buying the house, 20 grand renovating the house, and then having holding costs, whatever fees are incurred. And then finally, I spent 140 grand all in. I get an appraisal done. It's now valued at 233 grand, which means I get an 80% loan on that, which is my new mortgage. So I get a new mortgage of 186K. This gets used to pay off any mortgage I had here. Now,
say that again.
Your 186 grand gets used to pay off any kind of mortgage here. It's going to show up on your, now some banks actually do it differently. I do it at SCU, so I get to see like, okay, this gets deposited and then whatever mortgage I had on this gets replaced. Basically.
And sorry, the LTV stands for
loan to value. Yeah, good question.
okay.
Yeah.
So the 120K, that's the value of the house, like when you bought the house.
Well, house for 120K. Yeah. 20% down.
20.
So 20% down in the okay.
Mortgage.
And then, sorry, the 20K is
Renos.
Oh, okay.
Renos.
So let's say you don't have like 120K to buy a house. Let's say you only have 50K and you start your mortgage like $50,000 down payment on the $120,000 house. Then you add another 20K of renos. So then that would be 70K, you're 70K in. But then when you refinance the new value of the home, how much of that value of the home actually turns into money that helps, I guess, or
you're on the right track because you're just putting a higher down payment. This is why it gets confusing when I say like you split it into down payment and mortgage.
Yeah.
It's easier at first to look at it as I bought it for 120, whether I had a mortgage or not.
Okay.
You can imagine it's 20% down, 80% mortgage. and then I put 20 grand in for rentals.
But yeah, you're in the right
Oh,
track.
Yeah, I
okay.
got the track.
Yeah. So it's like subtracting everything. The old mortgage will be gone, and then now
Yeah.
you're gonna have that new 186K mortgage.
Oh,
So this is my new 186 mortgage.
Yeah.
If I pay everything off, so I'll minus
Yeah, it's
140, right? That includes everything I already spent. So that means I get, what is this, like 40 grand?
46.
46 grand. So this is what will be left over, right? Because I minused it. But what does this mean? This means that I'm able to get back the 140 grand that I spent, right? So meaning I get my renovation money back,
Yep.
tax free. I get my down payment back, tax free, and then the rest of this is the mortgage. So the mortgage gets paid off, which is in here anyway now. Plus, I have 46 grand.
it's tax free because it's a loan.
It's a loan, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right.
it's not income. That's why.
That's right.
Now this math, you just do it over and over and over and over again. So you kind of realize like, okay, I need to get 80% of the new value that's going to be equal to or more than what I spent on the deal.
Equal to or more than, oh, because it's like you make it higher and then you sell it for.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the value of the new home, or the value of the home after you refinance, you want it to be more than the money that you put in before it was refinanced?
80% of it.
80%.
of it.
80% of the new value.
Oh,
Now, simplifying it, because technically, if things change, this would be the loan to value needed. But you want this number, 80% of the new value, say, to be higher than or equivalent to what you spent here.
oh,
Because then you get your down payment back and you paid off the mortgage there, or got a new mortgage. And it shows up as you paid it off,
all right.
and you get your renovation.
So then that would mean the 46K on the bottom, that's what you would get cash back, tax free?
Yeah.
Okay. So
On
then
top of the
everything
renovation
that you
money
already have.
and the down
Yes.
payment.
So
So
you
I
have all
still
the stuff
keep.
in the home, and then you can also get 46K is used on a different deal and stuff. Obviously, it works different, like say for me, but like 20K
Yeah.
down payment on like say $100,000 home, and then maybe $15,000 in renovations, so you're 36K, and then the new refinance of the home maybe is 180K. So then you would get $80,000 back. You put the 80,000 on top of the 36 spent,
You get 80%
or
back.
80% of that. So
180.
let's say
Yeah.
180, so
Eight, that's
180.
80 plus 8 was 64. You get 86.4K. I think. Let's see if my math is right. What's
Okay.
80% of 180? I think I might have true that.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
144.
sense.
144? Also off. It's like, thank you.
So now, in order to, I guess, if you wanted to, I don't think you'd want to pay the house off quicker because you ideally have somebody living in it, paying it off for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you wouldn't want to spend the rest of the money that you've just got to pay off the rest of the mortgage because it's going to get paid off eventually. So you spend that money that you just got to just either get a new property or new different deal or whatever investment you want to do. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you just keep on, isn't it? Right?
Can you explain that bird dog thing?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yes. Some good logging. Before we jump in that, questions, comments, critiques, concerns on the refinance aspect of this? Makes sense. Feels good.
That's good.
It's the.
Kind of
I'll
sharp.
figure out what happened here. 80% of 180. It's in my head. I did 10%, which is 18,000 times 8. So 8 times 10 is 80. And then that's 8 times, is it 8? Yeah, 64.
Yeah, probably that's
So
the-
80 plus 64, I did 80 plus 6.4.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Well, check your math, right? Grade 6 math. Let's go.
No, because what I really like about this and with you obviously is you kind of get me thinking a little bit more.
Yeah.
So right now when I'm working, I'm kind of in the process of like, okay, sure, I'm saving up, X amount of dollars from this one job. The other money that I'm getting from this other job covers my life expenses. So this is how much money I'm putting away. That's kind of what I'm focused on right now. But then you kind of get me thinking of like, okay, where can I find maybe other people that are willing to lend me money to just speed up that process.
Yes.
Um, and that's kind of what I'm wanting to learn because I know in my head, like I believe that if I kept working in a year or I think even 2023, I'd be able to maybe get the first property going. But how can I maybe do that smarter or more efficiently? And obviously, yeah, mentorship helps that,
Right.
use the
So-
experience.
Yeah, just speeding it up and like making it personalized to you, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're like what, a year out of high school, 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're super young, right? So even like you could literally not do anything for the next 5 years
Well,
and
yeah.
still be early,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Really
Now-
early, like
yeah.
so early.
Yeah. Now, does it sound like you're gonna
No.
do that, right? He goes, I wouldn't, because you're already
Right.
thinking like that. It's like, yeah, when you peel through the veil, you're like, oh, that's what it is. Like once you figure out the burst strategy,
Yeah.
like a buy and hold almost doesn't make sense anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the end of your kind of journey, maybe
like
not
a
the end of the other spectrum where it's like, hey, you're now your passive partner. Cool. You already have millions of dollars, do a buy and hold all you want.
Is buy and hold is that like an Apple Center or
That's when you just have a rental. It's just literally this part.
okay.
You don't
Oh,
renovate anything, or you just buy something and then you rent it out.
okay. Because my goal, or I guess my idea, what I have right now is get enough money for the down payment. Then once I have enough, or for the down payment plus enough for some renos,
Mhm.
and then my idea is I'll quit my kind of lower income juice job once I get the place,
Mhm.
and I'll be working at the airport, which is higher income, and then it would kind of just be wake up, work at the airport, finish at the airport, rest a little bit, and then go to the new house and do the renos.
Mhm.
Because I'm looking to do most of the renos myself, at least in the start, to kind of
Right.
save that capital.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my idea was kind of like do that, and then eventually once the house is nice enough, once you've done some kitchen or some floors, painting, that kind of thing, get a renter in there
Mhm.
to pay off the rest of the mortgage. But I guess yeah, if you refinance the house and then you get that money back. But would you still want a renter in that house for the time being?
You'll still want to rent it out. So the burr ends up becoming a regular buy and hold at the end.
Okay,
Because then you can just put a rental in there and you just leave it.
for sure. So I guess that's kind of what my thought process was, but I guess maybe I'm missing a few little steps in between.
I do like that idea of doing some of your rentals at first. 'Cause again,
Yeah.
you're super young, right? Like that actually is skill acquisition.
Yes.
So let's say you're working minimum wage.
Yeah.
Well, with you doing renovations makes you a skilled worker. Now, is it going to be the most amazing first rental? Probably not,
I know.
but you'll learn, right? You can always
Learn a
connect
lot.
with people. One of our friends, Marion, helped me cut countertops like 3 times. You're not a cut countertop, but now you learn how to do it, and then it's giving you the skill set that is more than working the juice job.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not getting it like immediate, like no one's paying you $30 an hour to do that.
yeah.
But in your head, you kind of look at it
There's
like
a
that.
value that you're
Correct.
And one thing that I'm fortunate with my family or my parents, they've kind of done most of the renos themselves.
Mhm.
And my dad mostly wants to kind of like teach me how to do that. So this first house would be like, okay, I'm learning how to do these things. Next house, I can do it more on my own.
Mhm.
Couple houses in, I have more of a network. I have some more people that I can, maybe I have some more capital to pay somebody to do something. Then eventually the reno becomes a little more passive or automated.
Mhm.
Not automated, but I have the money to pay other people to get the stuff done, and it makes sense that I'll get paid in the end, even though I'm paying other people to do
Right.
that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm feeling a lot better now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And it's seeing that that's why it does have to be personalized, right? Like the strategy you're doing, if I tell that to someone who has like 3 kids and they're already working on jobs, yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? It's like, oh yeah, like live in your first house and then like house hack it, live with some roommates. It's like, yeah, let me find a roommate that's down to live with 3 kids. It doesn't make sense. But that's kind of how I started, right? Like I just did a house hack at first, bought this place, and then just lived with some buddies. Angela was one of my roommates for a long time. And again, you're offering people cheaper rent, better than like $1,000 for like some crappy 1 bedroom in like not the best area. Yeah, slumlord, right? But now you give people actual cheap rents. Plus you get your foot in the door being a landlord, and then you could do some of the smaller renos. and you can still kind of live the life that you essentially want, right? And like when you go back to living the life you want, like yeah, you kind of want to be realistic. That's why I kind of want to contextualize it. It's like, oh, if I wanted to even live the life that I live now, like being able to just travel like that, I could not do that when I was younger, right? Because I had to go through
Yeah.
university to become a teacher to get to here, right? It doesn't make sense. It's going to be a university student doing that. Now, maybe I learned a different skill to be able to work from a laptop. Cool. But again, I had to acquire that skill to get to the point where now I can kind of work from a laptop. So it's all reverse engineering. What's like the next step,
Yeah.
right?
What's next?
Yeah, what's next? Like you don't need to actually know like 10 steps ahead.
No.
Nope.
It's nice to look at, sit down, have that vision, have that North Star. Okay, why are you doing this? Right. But then after it's like, okay, well, how do I just want my day to day to look like at least now? What
Yeah.
changes can I make now? Right. It's a big reason why two people like ignore the gym or like, oh, they don't want to start. It's like such a big deal. It's like, oh, I gotta go to the gym and stuff.
No,
It's like,
just
no, man, like,
go like that.
yeah, just do some push-ups right here.
Do the least amount. Just
Yeah.
do this.
Just do something.
Yeah.
Make the bar super low, right?
Yeah,
right
right.
there
It's
for me.
gradual smoking. Go here, and they're like, oh, maybe I could go. I could go here. Fuck, what the fuck? Maybe I can do fucking like preaching rules now.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it just elevates after time. It's just like growing, right? Like so, it's easy for you guys because I mean, like it'll be easier for younger people to understand because they already are growing. I think the trouble that you guys are gonna run into if you're young is the parents and like the philosophies
Oh, yeah.
gonna clash.
Yeah.
Because that's what I experienced when I was young and doing the network marketing. And even I talked to Ivan about this a long time ago, and I made huge mistakes. They're thinking, oh, this is gonna do this, like that. And my parents' philosophy is completely opposite than my philosophy. My brother's personality is different, so we clash. And then me and my parents, like not understanding yourself and your parents and respecting your parents is gonna be it's gonna be tough. It's a lot of chaos, so it's not enough orders for you to pursue what you want to pursue. But that's why I say like this is like good because it's like a tribe of people who can understand each other who are doing similar things. And even you like everybody's gonna be a little bit different because everybody has different personalities. So you have to think of it that way. I think that's I made all these big mistakes because I'm not as smart as Patrick, that's my self-image. So you have to change that self-image, look at yourself, know yourself, and then you can go on to do all the stuff. I just do it in a crude way, but Patrick has the
It's a nice way to say
one of
your parents. Just kidding. Just kidding.
the-
Yeah. I'm kidding. This no, actually, like it points out that it's like more than just money, right?
it's
Or
more
think it's just about money. Well, it's just about finances. No, man, it's gonna bleed into everything else that you do. That's like being able to be grateful for even having parents. That was a big one for me.
or
I'm
just
like,
breathing.
yeah, even just
Dude.
breathing.
You can breathe in Canada. You like
Yeah, we were in Vietnam. I couldn't even breathe in Vietnam. We all got home. We went to a trip with to Vietnam. They're coming home. It's the last leg of our trip. And I'm just like, I can't breathe. We're all on the airplane. We're all just coughing.
Quality is so bad.
Quality's so bad. We're like, oh, I think the Korean flight. We're pretty sure we coughed like
Yeah.
the whole time.
in North
I
Korea.
would have felt bad if it was like closer to the pandemic time, but I don't care.
In North Korea, I don't know if you listened to that kid.
That lady,
Yeah.
yeah, she's
She didn't.
Why?
She could. Like, you don't own your own breath in North Korea.
That's fast.
So legit. And you guys, and like people in Canada complain, and they're like, "It's so fucking hard." No, you just don't have any context to go back to.
Yeah.
And if you came from that shit and you came here, you'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go right now." Like that's it.
Perspective, right? Yeah.
You don't have that view. That's why you have to travel. That's why I think
Yeah.
Patrick he like goes everywhere. He's like, oh, what can I learn from this person? How can I give back to this person? Right? So if you think of it like that, like you have to care about other people. You can't just be like this shell of somebody. Like, well,
Yeah, it has to be above yourself.
that's why it's God. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just going off.
God first.
Like we called it vertical alignment in the training system, right? It was God, family, your job, and then the business. That's how you rank it in that syntax, right? One, two, three, four. And then if you follow that, you stay disciplined with that, then you get the freedom of all this stuff. So like I made a whole bunch of mistakes, and that's why I kind of like know how to like, hey Patrick, can you go? Can you help?
Yeah, I always ask, yeah, for the ones that want to know, like, how do I get like info without like saying like, can I pick your brain? Like, just ask first. Like, even just that little bit of
Ask
like,
yourself.
yeah. And so come with some research, be like, hey, I tried this, and then now it's like contextualized. I need a quote for centralized AC. Calvin, I got a link for you for centralized AC. Um, it's going to be our friend Kevin. Find him on Instagram, Kevin Haw himself. I think Kevin was watching here, so you can see that. Answer a couple of questions. Oh, it's almost 5. I'm starting out. When a property doesn't cash flow after the refinance, that means you don't do the second deal analysis, which is it has to make sense as a buy and hold after. So make sure you do that. So anytime you do the BRRRR, you could pull out all this money, right? But does it
Yes.
cash flow at this price? That's a great question. You got to double check that
Good question.
because a perfect BRRRR, so you pull all your money out and you can do another one, doesn't mean it's a good deal. A perfect BRRRR is not necessarily a good deal. A perfect BRRRR that becomes a buy and hold that cash flows at the new price can be a good deal. Now there's a caveat. I've done deals where my cash flow is like $74 a month, which isn't amazing, but I pulled out an extra 36 grand, or I think it was 33 grand. So if I can cash out and get 33 grand tax free, I'll take a little bit of a hit to the cash flow because now I can deploy that right away. How long does it take to make 33 grand, even 30 grand tax free if you're earning $200 a month on a rental? It's going to take years, right? Whereas I get it now, I can deploy it right away, and that's called the velocity of money. Try to just make money a little bit
It's like
faster, right?
snowball.
Yeah, comes in, comes out, comes in, comes out.
So how do you get the capital? Like I mean, you're gonna be working, right? Like a full-time job or whatever. Oh, building the skills? Is it building the
Building the
skills?
skills, building the network, and then
Investors?
just those
Private
two,
investors?
yeah, it's private investors. So the first one's always the hardest. You don't have a track record, right?
Yeah,
No one's like,
people
yeah,
don't
don't
know.
know you, right? That's a big one where we'll be talking about today is like your marketing should be aligned with what you're trying to do. Now, again, I study philosophy, right? Most of existentialism. So like, can you be boxed into like one role?
No, you can't.
No, right? But we're not trying to teach philosophy. Like I am doing this kind of content, but like you're trying to market for a business. So yeah, you might have to be stuck in that role and just market that for the time being until you're allowed to change.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just a rinse and repeat, and then you have to like focus and stay good with that, and then you can move on to the next evolution of like that level or whatever. If it's if it's you're doing a video game thing.
Nice. Calvin says appreciates that. Cool. So we got 15 minutes before we do the live event. We'll probably start around 5:30. I'm gonna check some texts. We might jump on here afterwards. But if you guys are interested, it's a 2-day event. We're gonna start from 5 p.m. A little bit of buffer time. We get some housekeeping, see who's all in, and then for sure 5:30 onward till 10 p.m. is gonna be the actual event here. Breaking down principles on networking, real estate, financial literacy, how it's all connected. This be a big aspect of it is going to be the networking and social skills aspect of that, because very hard to raise capital and close deals if you still suffer with like some level of social anxiety. Like we want to get rid of that over this weekend. I firmly believe that we can get rid of that over this weekend, especially by making sure that again the bar is set pretty low. Okay. If you're watching this at home or even if you're watching this here, do you have a hard time just like walking up and saying hi to someone and just starting a random convo, right? It sounds like it has no connection to real estate and your finances. It's absolutely connected to your ability to close real estate finances. I always tell people we're not really in the construction business, we're in the people business, right? If people aren't either knowing you for what you do, maybe you're a aspiring real estate investor, or if they don't like you, trust you, know you, and aren't willing to actually sit down with you, whether that's for a real estate deal, whether it's you bring them a lead, whether it's you starting your own active business, or even maybe you just want to get like your dating life handled. It's the exact same systems that we use. It's all marketing, it's all sales, it's all how you communicate and present yourself and frame yourself, right? Otherwise, we also don't want it to just be like copy paste tell you what to do or say. So in that way, now you're not actively thinking of like how this works. So I'm really going to be breaking down tonight is getting to the root cause of, okay, why does this work? How do we break it down of like, okay, why is it that when I do this, this, and this person gives me capital. This person wants to actually see me again. This person actually wants to work with me, right? How do you set that up? And that's going to help not only with your real estate, but also your finances and then your personal life as well. So I'm going to log off here and see if there's other questions actually. Let's kind of already answer that. So if you guys are interested in getting into tonight's training, that's going to start in about, give it about an hour. I'll give you guys a little bit of a break. It's going to be some private sessions for the ones that decide to stay, because I do want to start at 5 anyway, but we won't be recording that just yet. And then, yeah, we'll go until 10 p.m. We'll have another probably an hour break. And then from 11 p.m. onwards, we're actually going out in the field and I'm showing you guys how to actually, again, build this business around your life, not your life to just be the business. So if you're probably someone, 25, maybe a little bit younger, a little bit older, closer to like you're 35, maybe 40s, we want to make sure that you have time for this. And this is why we are actually going to be taking the students out in person, because you're probably going to be going to socials. We're at that time. Winnipeg, if you guys don't know what a social is, you're probably not the ideal avatar for this weekend because you're not in Winnipeg, so that's okay. But if you do know what socials are, it's a great place to do some networking. I've raised capital at socials. You don't want to be going to socials just for the purpose of raising capital. It's going to be friggin' weird, especially in Winnipeg, because again, it's small city vibes. I want to show you how to do this in a way that doesn't get you in trouble, doesn't get you get your friends weirded out, like what the hell is this guy doing? But instead, actually just integrate this into your life. It's not that difficult, but it does have specific steps. A big piece of that is having the social media, right? Don't tell me you want to solve the money problem if you're afraid to go on social media and post things about your life. Like you gotta physically and mentally believe your life actually has value, then you can share that, right? Whether it's education or entertainment, people are interested in your story. Right? I think everyone does have an awesome story they can share, and you just connect it to whatever you're trying to do, whether it's getting to real estate, figuring out how money works, or maybe you just want to create a product or service that's going to help with that. Or maybe you have that all handled and you're just like, man, I just want to be able to translate, the skills I had in sales and marketing to like the dating side. I had a coach actually sit down with me and we were talking about, I coach like busy entrepreneurs, high performers and stuff. And I was like, hey, some people, they're like, they're married, they already have like solid girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. So they don't need to really worry about that. But like, how often should they still be going out just for like the networking part, continuing to like build a brand within their city? Like the more you're seen out, like that's actually marketing. Yeah. Start recognizing you, that helps, right? Like me and Ivan will walk. I always ask them on Sundays everywhere. Yeah. I always ask them on like Sundays whenever I can, like, hey, you want to like walk down just like Polo Park? And then you just get steps out of Polo Park and you get recognized, and it's like cool. Quick conversation you can have. It's like, hey, maybe they already know about you getting to real estate. Now we can have that conversation, like, hey, book a Zoom call or something, right? Is it a popularity contest? Kind of.
Yeah.
But do you have to be like the most popular person in the world?
No.
No. You don't need that much people. Look at my Instagram. My Instagram is not even that high. I only have 10K followers, but we're able to continue to do deals and then, build the level of success that I want from the life. Of course, we're going to continue to grow this, but you don't need that many followers. It's just that people don't know how to turn followers into fans and then fans into raving fans. So raving fans will buy anything that you drop, especially because most of those people have actually taken action on what you're showing, at least, right? Whether it's just they learn how to make a simple financial statement, but they've used what you've done, so they know there's actually value in it. The big reason why you can't necessarily give everything out for free, mostly because it does hurt the other persons in that there's no skin in the game. Right? That's why I try to give as much homework. Like, yeah, I can give you free content like this, but if I give you homework, that's an opportunity for you to put skin in the game. Right? That's an opportunity for you to use your time, spend your energy to go do something such as create your own financial statement, or even sit down and plan out what does my perfect day look like. Like, spend 15 minutes to an hour doing that. Maybe you're not paying me, but you're paying with your time and your energy. So there's still an exchange there. Versus if I don't give you a call to action or homework, I'm actually not helping you. I'm just giving you edutainment.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Learn some stuff.
Motivation.
Yeah. Motivation. Yeah. Motivation, masturbation. Oh, that's it. Oh. But cool. Let's see. Whenever free, please send the deets for the AC Co contact. Yes, I'll send that right away. Chris says, thanks for this, buddy. I hope you guys got some value. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to be jumping on just like, I'm going to check my DMs. He was all interested in a few people that are in the paid programming there. If you guys are interested, send me a DM. If you guys are still here, you guys are interested, you're in Winnipeg, you want to do tonight's event and tomorrow's event. It's special pricing. It's regular $597. We actually have it discounted to $397 for both days. You can only make one day. You can do it for $297. That is no problem. But we're going to get the full training. Again, it's 5 to 10 p.m. And then we're actually going to go out. We're going to do this in person as well. And then we're doing the same thing tomorrow. So make sure if you guys are, again, free tomorrow, it's going to be again at 3 to 5 p.m. That's a free portion. If you guys are interested in the paid event, come through. We'll probably for sure get started at 5:30 the latest. So you guys have 30 minutes to get here. DM me. Let me know if you're interested, whether it's doing both days or even just the one day. It's going to be a ton of value. We're actually going to show you exactly how we do this in person. Plus, we're also going to break down a ton of content, like 5 hours of content. Very structured, very different from how I taught here. This was a lot of like free associated. We're just trying to give you as much value as you can, give you as much homework and things you can try out. But when it comes to the paid part, very structured. We're going to go step by step. And then what's nice is you want to use that as a credit for higher level of training. It just counts as a deposit, and we're going to help you out with that. So special bonus that we're doing just today, and I guess tomorrow as well. Cool. So DM me that. DM me the word, don't DM me coach, DM me the word training. So DM me the word training for it. Cool. And
thank you again, Patrick, for this program. It changed my life, it changed my mindset, it changed everything. That was the best six weeks of my life.
I just want to give a shout out to my man Patrick. Just honestly been one of the best teachers that I've ever had.
It's a very informative course. Patrick works with you one-on-one, so if there's any questions or anything you might be doubting or you're uncertain of, he'll definitely be there to help. Honestly, highly suggest this course. It's taught me a lot through my journey.